Hey everybody, this is Tracy here with another edition of A View from Tracy's Point, and we are here to recap the Queen's Court Docket 010818, and I'm calling this one Why Y'all Trolling. So last night, the Queen's Court with co-host Kaya and T.S. Madison came back and the folks was waiting, okay? When I tell you, like, people, it was highly anticipated, and you know how it is when you just waiting on something, waiting on something, waiting on something, especially like TV shows, and when they finally come on, your expectations was way up here, but what you got was kind of like down here, and that's kind of how it was. But they did have, I think I said before, they usually have about, the highest I had ever seen their shows was about 17,000 people watching at one time. And at one point last night, they were up to like 28,000 people watching, and that's at one time. But by the time the show ended, I think the total views when the show actually ended was $348,000. But by the time the show ended, the total views were 300 and about 48,000, which means that I think a show they did 2 or 3 weeks ago, maybe the Christmas edition, is currently at 800 and something thousand views. So I think they picked it up a lot last night because everybody was waiting to see what was going on. So when they came back, they created this set, and the set was supposed to look like a courtroom, and basically, they had all like the black gloves and everything. They had a Queen's Court banner in the background and two American flags hanging down. I was like, okay, y'all just done went all out. But the thing was, it wasn't done very well, and I would think that at this point, they could have like stepped it up a little bit. So people were like really going in on them, about it. And I got where they were going with the set, but like I say, it was a hot ghetto mess. They had the banner that was in the background. Like if you have writing on your shirt or you're holding up a sign and you stand in front of the mirror and the words are reversed. Well, that was what was going on with their background. So it looked like it was turned around, so everything was backwards. And people were in the comments saying, oh, y'all need to get y'all a real videographer, who can show y'all how to flip that banner around so it'll look like it's going in the right direction when you're filming. And then there was something in front of so they had like this, it looked just like the thing that the judges sit, like they're sitting up high, and then they have like this desk thing that's around them. So they had that, but in front of it, it was something that was just like bothering me. It was bothering anybody else. So I spent the whole night trying to figure out what was it, because it was like a piece of furniture, and if I had to guess, I would say it was a table that had been turned over on the side, and then the legs were kind of like, you could see them in the camera view in front of the judge's desk thing that was going on. And what else was going on? Oh, then the camera. So the camera was so far away from them that it was having trouble zooming in. And I have had that problem on some of my videos before, where the camera can't focus because the lighting isn't right. And so it's constantly coming in, doing like this, and it's getting light, then it's getting dark. And so that went on the whole night, and you could tell that T.S. Madison is a perfectionist. Like, it wasn't bothering Kaya. Kaya wasn't bothered by what was going on at all, but you could tell that T.S. Madison knew it wasn't right, and it was just like bothering her, because I don't think she took a drink all night long. As a matter of fact, probably 10 minutes into the session, she told the bailiff, and even the guy that be helping about, the one that be laughing in the background all the time, he even had on the bailiff uniform. he had on this uniform foil. They had like the little balls on the sleeve and everything. And so, like I said, about 10 minutes in, he had came to get something. I think this is what really set Madison off. So now they have sponsors. And so people have sent in, you know, the products that were supposed to be advertised on the show. And they had them on like a tray. And so it was some hair care products one time. And then I think it was some makeup the other time. And so she gave him the tray to go in front of the camera, you know, so people could get a better look at the products and the brand and everything. And he just wasn't doing what she needed him to do. So at that point, she told him to get her a liquor because, you know, when the show first come on, her and Kaya be fixing their drinks for the night. She did not take one sip of her drink. So I just knew. And then the rest of the night, you could just tell that she was flustered. She was not happy with what was going on. And the people in the comments was like, we don't like this setup. We need you to go back to the other setup. And they just went on and on and on and on. And even though I was bothered, I wasn't going to put it in the comments, you know, that I was bothered because I know I'm going to do this video. But anyway, they were basically saying that what they love about the show is that in the old setup, they were up close and personal. They were right in the camera. You know, they're the only things that you can see. There's no distractions. And that we love the expressions, their facial expressions, especially Kaya when she get to going. You know, we love, that's the part that makes their show so good, is that we can look at the expressions and just crack up. But they were so far back that it was hard to see the expressions. And then it was too busy. It was too busy, too much going on. And then the other thing, if you watch the show, you know, Kaya gets to going on, and then her mouth get dry, and she lose her voice, and then the voice start trailing off. So because they were so far away from the camera, when she went on those long rants and the voice starts trailing off, you couldn't hear her anymore. And that's another thing that people love. You know, they be in the comments talking about, Lord, breathe, Kaya, you know, but Kaya be trying to get the whole sentence out. So what I liked was the fact that this morning, T.S. Madison did come on, and she made a post on Facebook, and this is what the post said. So I think they were like an hour and 46 minutes in, because, you know, I was telling you guys that one of the things I don't like about the show from the beginning is that it's too long, and I wish they would stop it at about an hour or even less than an hour. And if they have that much stuff to cover, then maybe they should do 2 shows a week. But all of a sudden, the show just ended. So I thought, you know, maybe the Facebook Live sometimes have a maximum time limit that you can go. And so I was thinking, okay, maybe it timed out, you know, and that's what happened. Or maybe the battery died on the phone, because I think about 15 seconds, or might have even been a minute before the live went out, the you know, the little transmitting circle thing that been spinning around, that had came up. And I was thinking then, I said, oh, I hope ain't nobody phone, you know, the phone isn't about to die. And then, like I said, a little while later, the video ended. But afterwards, they do the after show on Instagram. And I went over to Instagram, was waiting for them to come on. But then it was taking them forever. So that started, I found out that my niece has a YouTube channel. And I did not know this. So I got to go check out her YouTube channel. And then I didn't write the name down. But I'll get the name of the video, and then I'll put it down in the name of their channel, and I'll put it down in the information section so you guys can check it out. So I started watching her video, and then I got the notification that Kaya's, because it's under Kaya's page, Kaya Thug Misses, that they had went live. And so I was watching that video, and they were basically saying that people over at Facebook was reporting them, and that Facebook ended the Facebook Live over there. And I'm thinking, like, was it just people being trolls and being mean-spirited like they do? Or were these, like, fans of the Candy Coated Gang, you know, who think that they making Candy win by being petty and doing stuff like that? But then that problem obviously was resolved, because the video is still up and you can go back and watch the video, but it did end. And I'm thinking that whatever whatever was going on, Facebook would not allow them to go back up live so they could come back and, apologize or finish the show or whatever. But then they started getting cut off on Instagram. So I don't know if people was reporting them over on Instagram. But after the second time they went out on Instagram, I didn't, wait for them to come back up. I was tired and it was like 1 something in the morning, so I went to bed. But we'll see. I'm sure they're going to talk about it later. So first of all, they talked about the controversy of surrounding them allegedly getting kicked out of, the Escape concert on New Year's Eve in Atlanta. And then they responded to the claims that Kandi was the one that caused them to get out. And they also shared that they weren't going to, when they were there and Tamar invited them to perform, that they weren't going up there to talk about Toya and Reginae, that Kaya was asked to sing My Neck, My Back, and Next Caller. And then T.S. Madison was just up there, and I guess she was going to promote the show that they were doing and talk about different things that they have going on. But they said it was going to be totally professional. They wasn't coming to throw shade at nobody or to be mean because, they know how to act when they're out in public. And then they also told us that T.I. and Tiny played a major role in the controversy, and that T.I. was very disrespectful towards actually, they say he came in and walked past them, didn't speak or anything. So then there was a part where Madison, she was, throwing shade at Tiny and T.I. She was like, Tiny, the best thing you could have ever done was divorce T.I. or file for divorce. That was the best decision you could ever made because he's nothing but a bitch ass nigga. Y'all know I'm like cussing and saying these words. But that's what she said. And she said, I stared him down, but he didn't turn his head or his little body. He kept his neck straight and walked past us, didn't even turn his head to address, no, I think that was Kaya who said that he didn't even turn his head to address her or Madison. So it was Kaya that was talking. And she called him a little snicker. About she wanted to call him a snitcher because he always been a little snitch, and then she pulled out a Snickers bar saying that the Snickers bar was for T.I. and she said that he came in asking for the sheriff and he passed by the two of us bees and headed to Tamar's dressing room to roast Tamar, her mother, and her grandmother in front of the grandchildren. And I think he was the one being disrespectful and disorderly because they kept saying that, but they want to say it was us, but it was them, and this is why, it was them. And then she said, Tip, why you gonna cuss out Tamar, her mom, and her grandma and her sisters in front of their children, and yet you act like we were the ones that were being disrespectful. It was like, Tip, why didn't you say anything to us when you walked your little sneaky ass past us and didn't even turn your head to the left? So it was like T.I. wanted to be the big bad dude, but he went and addressed the wrong people. He wasn't, man enough to go in there and talk to Madison or Kaya. So she had that Snickers bar. Why did Madison take the Snickers bar and then perform oral sex on the Snickers bar and then stick the whole damn Snickers bar down her throat? I was like, this is too much. I'm being educated too much. I'm learning too much from this doggone show. So Kaya also claimed that Tiny is back on the outs with Tamar, and she thinks that this is unfortunate. It said that Tamar is real friends to Tiny, and that they shouldn't be letting what goes on their show interrupt their friendships and that type of stuff. And what else happened? Tamar actually cursed Kaya out in the past for being shady, but then the two of them were able to, for shading Tiny, but the two of them were able to work their differences out and bury the hatchet and come to a peace offering, and that's how she ended up being invited to the show. And Kaya also pointed out that there was some beef going on between Tamar and Toya last year on Instagram or something, and that Tiny didn't intervene. She just sat back, and I think I kind of remember something like that on Wendy Williams, but I can't remember what the details of it all was. But at the end of the day, Kaya feels that Tiny isn't a good friend to Tamar, that there's no loyalty there, and so it's just messy. But basically, Madison said that, you know, they talk more about them getting kicked off the stage, getting kicked out, than people were talking about the show, and that the show was tired. And I told y'all before that I haven't heard any really good reviews about the concert, that people are talking more about Tamar's performance and Monica's performance, and they're not really saying anything about Escape's performance. And also, I follow this girl on Periscope named Dominique Price. She's an attorney, and she talks about copyrights and trademarks and stuff. And she did a Periscope yesterday when she was talking about trademarks, and she was sharing, like, I didn't know this, you guys might know this because you follow Escape or whatever, but she was saying that so Escape had a trademark, I guess, for the group name or for the group or however the group was incorporated. And when Tiny left the group, she lost, I guess it was in the agreement that if you leave the group, you no longer have rights to anything. And that when Tiny left, that when Candy left the group, she lost all her rights. So I guess part of them getting back together was the fact that they had to restore Candy's rights to the group and to the group name and everything in order for them to do this tour and do the documentary and all of that. And I didn't know that, but that was an interesting fact. And she was just basically saying, when you go into business with a group of people, you have to have this document where you're basically outlining how this is going to work and what voids the contracts and that type of thing. So that was a good little tidbit of information. The last part about the whole recapping or rehashing what happened at the Escape concert was that Madison revealed that she was the one that leaked everything out about being kicked out of the show. And she said, you know, it was I who leaked the information. If you bitches don't know our publicity stunts by now, you fall for our traps every time, each week, every week. You know, so it worked, Madison, because like I said, y'all are up to 28,000 views at one given time, and you hit 348,000 views for the entire hour and 45 minutes that you were actually on the air. So the funniest part of the 1 hour and 46 minute show was when they called Madison's mama up, Miss Mary. I don't call her one Miss Lucy from Married to Medicine, but Miss Mary, you know, she was called up as a witness to what went down at the concert, and everybody loves Miss Mary, and Lord knows the sincerity of our elders is a jewel to behold, because Miss Mary said she don't know what was going on. She still don't know what was going on. But all she knew that whatever it was, it didn't need to happen. It didn't have to be that way, and people didn't need to be treating everybody like that, and can we all just get along? So in other news, Lord have mercy, they also responded to K. Michelle, which was so funny. They had this, if you saw the cover that I used for this video, there's a chimpanzee head sitting on the doggone judge's desk. Well, that was supposed to have been K. Michelle, and Kaya was talking to K. Michelle. And so while Kaya was talking, you know, throwing shade at K. Michelle, they was playing this video that K. Michelle did on Instagram or something, where she was basically trying to comfort Kaya and saying that, Kaya, you coming to my concert? Or, you know, people were asking her, was she going to invite Kaya to the concert or something like that? And she basically was saying that Kaya couldn't afford a jet to the local Chick-fil-A, let alone fly to one of her concerts. And it would stick a pin in him, because that's one of the things that they always talk about, like the trolls that are in the comments. They're always dogging Kaya out, you know, saying that she's poor, she's broke, she live in her van, that she doesn't have nice clothes, she doesn't, you know, she have Payless shoes, you know, just be going on. And one thing I love about Kaya, she's like, I don't have to have a job, because I didn't waste, when I was making a lot of money, I didn't waste my money on material things. And as long as I'm clean, long as I'm dressed nice, my clothes are clean, my clothes are decent, I don't need to have name brands, Gucci and all of this here, you know, on my back. to feel good about myself. That's for the other people. So I respect that part of her. Like, I'm not trying to impress nobody. I'm not trying to make nobody else rich. I'm going to be me. I'm going to, I've always been me. I'm going to continue to be me. And y'all can talk about me all you want. And you can go out there and spend all your money on stuff you can't afford, or spend your investments and savings making somebody else rich. But Kaya is going to be Kaya, and Kaya is going to do Kaya. So I do commend her about that, because I believe that 100%. The only thing I'm going to spend a lot of money on is a pair of shoes, but a lot of money to me is probably poor people's shoes to other people, because I'm not spending $3,000 on those shoes. I'm not spending $15,000 on no purse or pocketbook or handbag or whatever they call them today. That I'm not trying to keep up with the Kardashians. And then on the video with K. Michelle, so it's bad enough that you're trying to make the video to dog the show, the Queen's Court, but then you was high. Kaya asked was she on Percocet or something, because K. Michelle looked like she was zoning out. And they was like, what are they giving you? Like, was it medication from when you was getting your butt implants taken out? But I don't think she's supposed to do that till January 13th. So I don't know what K. Michelle was on, but she was on something. And who else did they talk about? Like, the show, the show started out good. The best part was when Miss Mary came on. But then they just started rambling and talking about stuff that nobody really cared about. And then they was another change that they did to the format was that they wanted to print out to show that they don't research this stuff. They're trying to come up with stuff to talk about with people, that the viewers are actually sending the stuff in. And so they was trying to show, like, if I emailed them and said, oh, did you hear about K. Michelle? Then they would try and show you the print out, like, we telling the truth. Somebody sent this to us. This isn't us. And I don't think they should do that. I don't think they need to call out the people who are sending them the information. Just roll with it, because what they were doing before wasn't broken, so why try to fix it? So that caused like a lot of delay, because then either T.S. Madison had to come down off the platform to bring the stuff up to the camera, or she had to call the bailiff who wasn't on his job, to get him to show the stuff. And I think the only people that they covered that was even remotely interesting was Chris Brown and Kevin McCall, and I guess somebody put a picture out where one of them was giving the other one a blowjob or something. I couldn't figure out what was going on with that picture. So they talked about that and how Frank Ocean and Chris Brown got into it the next month. Frank Ocean revealed that he was gay, so they was like, look for Kevin McCall to come out and say that he's gay, because if something about Chris Brown, they just be messing people up in their lives. And then they had said that they were going to bury K. Michelle and Candy for the new year, that they weren't going to talk about them anymore. But then they said they had to dig them up. So then one of the props was that they had this big old shovel, and then they was scraping on something, and it was like T.S. Madison was digging up the dirt, and then they came up with these little voodoo dolls, and then they cut the doll in half and stuff like that. And one of the comments that people was making is, y'all need to find some new people to talk about. Like, we don't want to keep hearing about the same people over and over. It's enough celebrity news going on for y'all to roast. And then you don't even really, to do a roast, it don't even have to be about the stupid stuff that people are doing. You can roast real live things that happen, sort of like, Oprah did the speech, and then people was at the Golden Globes, and people were coming out, saying that she said she was going to run for president and all this stuff. And so, like, they could take that and turn that into a comedy sketch. It's like so many different ways they could go with this without just keep talking about the same people over and over again. And I think that was pretty much about all that was going on. Like, I can't even remember who else they talked about. They spent a lot of time on the whole Candy situation, the Chris Brown, K. Michelle, and then I don't remember anybody else. They did call somebody, because I remember they brought that donut phone out again, but I can't remember who they was calling on the donut phone. So anyway, guys, if you watched the show, if there's something I left out, let me know. Tell me what you thought about the changes that they made. Do you want them to go back to the old format? Do you think they can fix the new format? Do you think the show has run its course? Do you think they need to take some time off to regroup from what happened on New Year's Eve and then come back fresh? Because, like I said, T.S. Madison looked like she was just done. I don't know whether it was because she didn't have no alcohol, if it was because the bailiff wasn't good, if it was because she realized that the set wasn't looking like they wanted it to look, and that was going to be one more thing for people to talk about. But whatever it is, leave your comments below, rate the video, subscribe to the channel. If you haven't done so already, share the video, and you can do all of that using the buttons below. And until the next time, I shall talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.